Good morning, everybody. All right, guys. So, what we're talking about today is I've been getting a lot of calls into the office from clients indicating that they're really at a crossroads with their home. They're in a position, I call it the bear has come out of hibernation. So creditors have been in hibernation now for a year and a half due to the pandemic and due to the fact that they truly couldn't do anything because the courts were closed, or there was a ban on them collecting from you guys. But they're waking up, coming out of hibernation, and what do we know? Bear needs to eat. Bear has not eaten in a year and a half, and what you need to do is figure out how you don't become their lunch. So many of you have started to get calls or inquiries from debt collectors regarding your debt, but mortgage lenders regarding, okay, now, in New Jersey, the mandate has lifted. In Pennsylvania, I believe they have set a date for sheriff sales to start. In New York may be a little bit behind, but that date is coming. And I believe Delaware has there's been talks about them restarting sheriff sales again. So the bear is waking up out of hibernation. You have a house. You know you can't afford to pay for the house anymore. What are your options, right? And for the individuals who know that they want to exit out of this house because they can't afford to pay for it, first, congratulations for getting to that point. I mean, the clients that call me and say, look, Georgette, I really can't afford this house anymore. I can't afford the mortgage payment. I can't. What do I do? The first thing I say to them is congratulations. You did not bury your head in the sand, because when you bury your head in the sand, you leave another body part exposed. So you didn't do that. You're having a true heart to heart conversation with yourself, and you're saying, okay, I'm in this box. How do I come up with a plan to get out? What is the best way for me to exit this house? And for me, the best way to start over is always with cash in hand. You want to have money in your hand, right? You want to have money in your hand, and you also want to be rid of not only the debts relating to this house, but all the other debts that you have, so that you can truly get a fresh start. So, for those of you who are in your house and you can afford it, you're just behind. You need a Chapter 13, because a Chapter 13 will allow you to keep the home, and you make payments over time to catch up with the payments that you're behind. Catch up on the payments you're behind. So that's the straight, regular Chapter 13. If you're behind on your mortgage, but you're back to full employment, your money was funny for just a short period of time, now your money is right. You just need the opportunity to get yourself together, probably eliminate some of the credit card debt, but really focus on you keeping your home and you getting right with your home. Yes, Chapter 13 is for you. If you're current on your mortgage, and right now housing prices are out of control. I have a client whose house went up $130,000 in equity in less than 6 months. So the value of her home went up. It was one amount November of 2020. It's now $130,000 later. It's insanity. Which is also, for those of you considering buying a home, now ain't the time, because the market is too hot. The prices are too out of control. No, now is not the time to buy a home. Now is to sit back and wait for everything to crash, and then you buy a home, right? Just that's an aside. But If you're in a situation where you're current with your mortgage and we look at the equity in your home and it's not a lot, because the bankruptcy code allows you to protect a certain portion of your equity in your home. And if that amount, if the equity is below that threshold, then okay, we're going to file a Chapter 7 for you, get rid of all the other debts so that you can focus in on this house and you don't lose your home. You just continue making the mortgage payments. And that's a concept that I need you guys to get. You file bankruptcy to protect your assets. It's not so that you lose them. And if you're in a situation where an attorney files for you and you're at risk of losing the home, then they probably filed the wrong chapter. They probably filed a 7 when they should have filed a 13. And even if they're in a 7 and the trustee is saying, hey, wait a minute, there is too much equity in this home, the attorney always has the option to convert to a 13, again, so that you can protect the home. If the aim is to protect the home, then our job is to protect the home, right? So I'm discussing various scenarios. So we talked about if you're current with the mortgage and you want to keep it, you can either file a 7 or a 13. If you're behind on the mortgage and you have the ability to keep it, meaning your money got funny for a minute, but now it's right again, you have the opportunity to file a 13 and catch up on the mortgage payments you've missed over the last, year and a half. The court will give you 5 years to catch up. Okay. So we've talked about the scenarios where you have the home and you want to keep it, right? Options for those. What I want you to understand is if you have a house and you can't afford it, there's options there as well. And the option is you can file a Chapter 7. Now, I haven't given this advice since 2008, but here we are again. You can file a Chapter 7. You surrender the home, but you don't leave. You wait for the mortgage company to go through the state court system and file a mortgage foreclosure and work their way through the system to the actual sheriff's sale and date. Now, during the last time on this rodeo, we're talking about 08, 09, that was a 2-year process in New Jersey. It could be like a 5-year process in New York. But everywhere, it was at least a minimum to a year to 2 years. And when you do this, what happens is you can sit in the home and the bank can't tell you to leave. If the trustee has abandoned the property, so you just sit there until they foreclose. But during that period, remember, this is America and you don't live anywhere for free. During that period, even though you're no longer making a mortgage payment, you're no longer making a rent payment, you're not paying anything, what you're doing is saving. You're saving as much money as you possibly can, so that when they ask you to leave, you give them the key, you say thank you very much, and you move on. But you move on with cash in hand, right? In other instances, when there's a lot of equity in the home, what we do is we file a 13 and we put the house up for sale while you're in the 13, right? And then while we have the house up for sale, you're guaranteed at least the first $25,000 of that sale. So the first $25,000 of that sale, yours, bar none, protected. That's your money. While we're in the 13 now, if some of the debts you owe are old, we're knocking them out. You don't have to pay them. We're trying to get rid of, we're trying to lower all the other debts that you're owed. So that when the house is sold, You have your 25,000. We pay off the creditors that we weren't able to kick out, meaning that they were too old and the statute of limitations has run and you don't have to pay that money. We knock those out. And then what's left, we pay. And then what's left over that, you get. So it's what you would call if you were a business, this is a strategic or an organized exit out of this house. And the organized exit is so that you have as much money as you can when you leave, right? So if you sell the house while you're in a 13, you're guaranteed $25,000 because the court protects that. Depending on what state you're in, if you're in Delaware, you're guaranteed $125,000. If you're in New York, you're guaranteed $150,000 per owner. So you're guaranteed that money. We have the ability to knock out some of the debts that you've been carrying. If they're old enough, we're going to get rid of them via the statute of limitation that the bankruptcy court will honor. So that once the house is sold, you get your protected money. We pay off what debts we were unable to knock out. And what's left over paying them off is yours again. That way, when you exit the bankruptcy, you have cash in hand. All the debts that you have in your past are dealt with, and you can truly start over. Now, this takes up a bit of planning and thoughtfulness. And I know that's hard for you guys when you're in the middle of what you perceive to be a crisis. But you gotta remember, you are the CEO and CFO of your life. So while you're in that process, you have a small business that's taking in water. You can't just bail and leave. You can't do that to your life. You want to come up with a plan so that after this crisis, you're in the best possible position financially you can be. Now, this is hard to hear for some of you, but you really have to look at your life like you're a CEO and you're a CFO, and you're looking at the business and going, okay, how is the best way for me to wrap this business up? Or how is the best way for me to save this business? And that's the mindset you have to go into. You can't get all emotional about it. Hard as that may seem, it's easier said than done. But this is the business of your life. This is the business of, wait a minute, hold on. How do I get to the next side of this crisis in the best financial position I possibly can? Why? Why? The reason is good times end, but bad times end as well. Everything is temporary. The crisis that you're in right now, it will end. And you want to be in a position to start over. You want to put yourself in the best financial position possible when you've made it to the other side and you want to start over. So guys, this is a message of hope, I guess. Hope, I believe. Hope with the fact that you know that this turbulent time that you're in, or you're finding yourself in, ends. And your job is to make sure you're in the best financial position possible when it ends. And that's what the bankruptcy code does for you. It reorganizes you. It gives companies the ability to start over. It gives companies the ability to wind up, to just close shop and do an orderly wind up of their business, right? That's what this is. And we had a former president who filed bankruptcy. I like to mention this because in my mind it'll never go away. We had a former president that filed bankruptcy 6 times, and he said he was smart. He did it, of course, because it was smart of him to do. And you can't argue with the man. He saw himself in a situation, he saw where he could get himself out, and he did. But if he believes filing bankruptcy for him was smart, what does it say about us, or many of us, who have the same right, have the same ability to protect their assets, but don't? What does that say about us? But I leave you with that. And remember, guys, if you want a free consultation with me and one of my attorneys, the number to call is 866-96-GM-LAW. That's 866-96-GM-LAW. Remember, this is being brought to you by Margolis Edelstein. We're a partner. I'm a partner there now. And this is where I am, and this is happening because of them. Also, I'm one of 100 attorneys in this firm now, so we're able to offer you other services. You know, if you have a personal injury case, if you have issues with Social Security disability, if you have a workman's comp case, we can do that for you now. But Georgette is here, and we're here with a team. We're not only here to take care of your bankruptcy cases, but we have the ability to do services outside of that and wrap around services. A majority of the legal issues that you will face, I mean, between me and my partners, we can find a solution for you. But if you want a free consultation with me or one of my attorneys regarding your debt or anything else, call my office at 866-96-GM-LAW. That's 866-96-GM-LAW. As they say in my country, walk good, and I'll talk to you all next week.